Welcome to today's training. Yeah, we'll start officially. This is one of my more favorite trainings, okay? Because we're going to teach you the stuff you have in your hand is part of the language system that you use when talking to people. And it's a language pattern. It's just how you ask. When I say a pattern, it's an easy way to ask a question, okay? But there's a process, a 3-step process for this question, okay? And so part of what we're going to do in handling objections and in learning how to get to yes is you guys need to understand, it's critical, it's just critical, most important thing you'll ever learn in your whole sales career is everybody buys emotionally, period. And we use our logic to justify what we buy. 99% of salespeople sell logically. Makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah, but I feel, okay? So a big piece that we're going to learn today is how to establish the emotional connection, how to get those emotional reasons, and then how to use those emotional reasons in handling objections or anything that's want in order to sell what we do, because everybody wants to feel that what they're doing is correct. So our job in sales is to help them feel that it's correct. Okay, help find the right things. So that's a big part, and so it's a lot of fun. It's changed a lot of things for me. So handling objections and in this. Let's jump to the next one. Most of the time, getting the listing, if you want that listing or that buyer, it goes to the person who wants it the most. End of story, it just does. That broker, now those of you who don't want to be too pushy or don't want to be too overbearing, okay, that's fine too. Just realize that if you don't have to be pushy. You don't have to be a used car salesman, which is what we like to think of when we think of, a pushy salesperson, right? You can be very aggressive and yet be very kind and work with people. You've got to decide you want this, okay? This is the most critical thing to do. And it comes down to who wants it the most. And here's the biggest piece. You have unique motivation. So before I get to this part, let me jump back for a second. And this is important, and not on this one, it's in a different one taught, but you make the decision if you're getting that buyer or that listing before you ever show up. You do. You've already made the decision before you get there if you're getting this or not. And it usually rolls out how you decide. Okay? Quantum physics is an amazing place, right? We're going through, I like quantum physics, right? So one of the things in the scientific method, there's a thing called a double-blind study. So let's say I got a pill, so I need a little bottle with a pill in it, and then a little bottle with an identical bottle with a pill in it, but they both have to look the same, but one's a sugar pill, and one's the real pill. So I got a group of 10 people who are gonna take one, and 10 people take another. Nobody knows which pill is which, not even the scientists, it's all blind. And then you feed everybody, and you do all the results, and because it's double blind, not only the scientists don't know, but the people don't know, you can supposedly come up with a pretty unbiased results. At the quantum level of science, below the nuclear structure, below the atom, you cannot do a double blind study because our thoughts control everything at the quantum level. Whatever you decide as a scientist is what it does for you. It's really wild. From a science point of view, what you think is. Think about that. This is the stuff that makes up the atoms, that make up our bodies, that make up our world. That stuff is controlled by what we think. You decide before you ever leave this office or your home, wherever, you decide if you're getting it or not. You make the decision. And I promise you, it turns out like you decided. And if you're going in full blown, but somewhere inside there's a little piece that's thinking, I won't get this, you probably won't. You've got to make this decision. This is where we become in control. So a big part of the day, as I said, is most of the time getting a listener convincing about a broker comes down to who wants it the most. But wanting it doesn't necessarily mean that you just have a free-for-all. You got to have a system, and that's what we're going to teach you today. So when you have a motivated seller or buyer, they each have unique motivations. The biggest thing you can do is to ask the questions necessary to listen to their answers and give them feedback to the point that they know you are the one who's actually listening to them and that you are the one who can and will solve their issues. Any objection, anytime an objection is risen, is because there is a question, need, or desire that has not been answered or dealt with. Do you understand that? Think about this. No matter what it is, no matter what the objection, it does not really matter the words that are coming out of their mouth. They have a question. They have a fear or failure or frustration or question. You just haven't solved that problem yet. And the objections are coming because either A, we have not found the real problem, we're just answering the objections they give us, or it's basically that, you haven't figured it out and you haven't made them feel comfortable. That's the key. It's all sales, it's all in here. And so with that said, when you're looking at that, a person needs to know that you're going to solve their problems. A person's only going to know you're going to solve their problems if you've listened to them. So how many times have we, and I've done this thousands of times, you walk in, you know what you're going to say, you know what you got to get done, you ask a few questions, you're rolling through the thing, you walk out the door, and you don't have a signed contract. Or the buyer no longer wants to work with you. And you're thinking, I did everything right. Well, obviously we didn't do everything right, or they'd be working with us. So what was it we missed? What we missed was the emotional connection. People have to feel. And your job is to make them feel. Okay? That's what we're going to teach you how to do. How to make people feel that you are the person to work with and the only person who can solve their problems. And if a person feels that way, there's nobody else to work with. I don't care if there's a line of brokers out the door saying they'll do their listing for 1%. It doesn't matter. If you solve their problem, they're going with you. It happens every time. So we need to learn to function and work with people on an emotional level. That's it. So this is a system on how we can do that. Part of what you have in your hand is how to get to the initial emotional questions. So, asking the right questions, okay? And listening. Now, I told everybody this, y'all know this, I'm supposed to have, I have to listen. I literally cannot not listen. Because I have no idea what you're saying if I'm not paying attention to you, deeply. So, if you've taken the time to ask the right questions and you've convinced the client that you've actually heard them, you're 80 to 90% of the way home. How many of you have heard the statement that most people aren't listening to you, they're just waiting for their turns to talk? Right? Now, how many times have you done this? Come on, you're in a conversation, right? And you want to get out. You're not listening to that person.
My wife does that to me.
Was that? I couldn't help that way. But honestly, that's what it is. You're right. You know, and listen, this is fun. And you think about all the people in the past. Wow, if I could have known how to listen so that I'm touching them emotionally and how to take those emotional reasons and attach them to doing business with me, it's just business after business after business. You become very, very successful. So if you have their exact three motivations, the top three, we call them criteria. If you notice this folder, this is criteria. Criteria is the emotional reason, that's a clinical word by the way, the emotional reasons or drivers that we do something. It's what we feel, the criteria, the feeling, the deep why, okay? So with that said, first, all of you have heard this, but I learned this in the health club business. And I learned it with a lady that walked in the door, we went through the whole thing, we told the story multiple times. It changed how I close. It changed how I sell. It changed how I listened, and it literally doubled my closing ratios just like that. And this is the one piece, and Maria's been out with me a few times, okay, on listens and stuff, right? And when I'm asking questions, you don't even realize I'm asking these questions. Because I want to know. I want to know what's really going on. I've trained myself to quit listening to myself and start listening to what's really going on with that person. Because we're going to get to the signed listing, we're going to get to the signed buyer contract, we're going to get there. Got to know why and how. So the question is, what's important about X? Okay, repeat this out loud, everybody. Say, what's important about, let's keep it on. Everybody, what's important about selling your home? Okay, let's do it again. Do it to the second one down. Everybody look up on the thing. What's important about selling your home quickly? Ooh, this is my favorite. What's important about the broker that you're about to start working with? Yeah. Now, each one of those is going to get different answers. You realize that, right? Any one works from a seller's, but look to the buyer one. What's important about buying a home now? Okay, so here's the key. All of our language, I don't care what your cultural background is, I don't care what languages you speak, it does not matter. Your language, what you say and how you say it, is coded right down to your DNA and is what affects you emotionally. Our minds are broken into two sides. You can call them 100 different things. Your conscious level and your subconscious, right? Your reactive mind and your creative mind. There's a whole 100 ways to say it. But the fact is, the creative, alive part that we think are making all the decisions, that's our part where we, you and I talk, and she's got glasses, got this, what does she have, making all these decisions, right? That's your creative mind, that is your conscious mind. That one's not in charge. That one's not in charge at all. Did you know that? We think it is. We think, oh, I made this decision. It's made down here emotionally. And then our mind justifies it, right? That's what we do. Come in, guys. The mind justifies it, okay? So what you're learning to do when you ask this question, and I'm going to go through this with you, this question is designed, okay, to get you to the emotional reasons. So I might say, what's important about selling your home quickly? And I might say, look, I need to get my house sold. Oh, okay, so you need to get your house sold. Now think about this. If a person says, I need to get my house sold, and you say, okay, what's important about selling your house? Okay. I might actually say, you need to get your house sold. Oh, you need to sell your house. No, I need to get my house sold. Notice the person uses that vernacular structure. I might say it differently. I might say, for example, the lady that when I first learned this in the gym business, I asked her what's important about coming to the gym today. And she said, well, I put on some weight since I had my son. He's 6, I never took it off, and I want to be able to go outside and do things with my son. Now, I would have said it differently. I actually sat there when she was saying it and thought, because I've been trained to repeat back what they say exactly, and that it's important. And I would have said, I thought about this, I would have said, yeah, I want to go outside and play with my kid. But that's not her speaking. She said, I want to go out and be able to go outside and do things with my son. Not, I want to go outside and play with my son. Not, I want to go outside and do things with my kid. I want to be able to go outside and do things with my son. And because I'm listening very clearly, not worried about what I'm going to say, I need to find these out first. I said, okay, let me make sure I heard you. You want to be able to go outside and do things with your son. Exactly like she said. And this woman lit up like a Christmas tree. You guys ever plugged a Christmas tree in? Right? She goes, oh yeah, that's really important. Now, is that an emotional feed? That's an emotional feed. Okay? Person says, I say, what's important about selling your home? You need to learn to listen to the words they say and repeat them back. And I repeat them back by saying, let me make sure that I heard you correctly. You said X. And you have to learn to listen to what they say so you can repeat it back. You do. When they say that, you say, okay, great. And then it moves on to the next step. Same pattern. What's important about whatever they said? And you go there, and we'll take you through this. But these are the things you need to learn. Motivational questions start with a question, what's important about? Now that question can be asked many different ways. Start with this one. What's important about? Always want to know what's important about. The challenge for you. Write this down. Your challenge. Okay? This is the challenge. I want you to learn and use the first layer of questions, because you do the same thing 3 times, and we'll go through this in a second. I want you consciously 5 times a day for the next week until you come back to next week's training. I want you to ask that question, what's important about anything, whatever someone's talking. It could be your niece, your nephew, your mother, your daughter, your son, your husband, your wife, your neighbor, your person you're working with, the guy behind the counter that's ringing you up at the gas station. I want you to start asking when you're in a conversation about anything. My little niece, who is no longer my little niece, she's now moving up here actually with her husband. When she was probably 10, I think, she wanted to be a ballerina. And she's a tall redhead right now. And I remember back then, because I just learned this, and I asked her, I said, what's important about being a ballerina? She's telling me, I want to be a ballerina. And I said, really? Lindsay, what's important about being a ballerina to you? Oh my gosh, this little kid lit up. and was just telling me things, and I would repeat them back. Every time I did, she'd light up even more. Okay? To this day, I am her favorite uncle. To this day. And she just does not know why, but we're connected. Right?
Well, it shows
Wanted
you
to
care
know.
kind of too, because you're asking
Yeah.
questions. People don't ask people
Connecting.
stuff anymore.
Yeah, this is what it's about. It's about connecting. Stop selling. I'm gonna tell you, stop selling right now. You're never gonna sell another thing in the rest of your life. Start making connections and start making money. Okay, stop selling, start making money. This will close. People will buy. People will go with you because nobody listens like this. But you have to practice. I learned this at a health club where I got to do this 5 to 10 times a day, plus my motivation on my people. I was doing this, working with this day in and day out for years after that, okay? Which is why I got very good at it. If you don't practice, you don't know. How many times have you all heard, have you been through this one already? A little bit?
A little bit.
A little bit. Practice yet?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, I'm trying.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay, so, open up. Okay, this training comes from Kenrick Cleveland. Kenrick Cleveland is considered by many to be the top persuasion trainer in the world. This guy has trained people to blow your mind. This package teaches you the entire process. He even has real estate questions in here and gears on. So your job is not only 5 times a day till next week to talk to anybody, just what's important about being a ballerina. Oh, because when I grew up, I want to dance for, I don't know, the New York Ballet. Oh, when you grow up, you want to be able to dance for the New York Ballet. Oh yeah, that's really important. Really, well, just learn that. Just go through that one cycle. Ask them what's important about it, repeat back what they say, and confirm it. And just get in the habit. Don't worry about going 3 levels deep. Just learn the basic pattern. Just start talking to everybody. You're talking to Kyle. Kyle's doing stuff on the camera, right? So Kyle, how'd you get into the whole film thing? And he starts talking. I say, well, what's important about that to you that got you into it? Just ask. Listen to what they say and repeat it verbatim. Don't change it to your words. That's the key, okay? My subconscious, my emotional part that's in charge wants to hear identical things. Where are you from?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm from Kazakhstan.
Okay, where are you from? Where are you from?
China.
Okay. When you run into people, not only from your country, but your hometown in this country, do you automatically, instantly have some type of rapport? Heck, you run into people from Alaska and connect with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know why you connect with them? Because they're just like you. And people like people who are just like them. So what you're doing is an advanced training here where you're asking what's important about, and you're repeating back their verbiage, and your subconscious says, oh, she's just like me. And you have a connection. You're creating the same type of connection that you have when you run into somebody from where you're at in China. And you do. You meet somebody in Starbucks and they're from your hometown, you start talking, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, and you light up, you're all happy and you're excited, okay? Okay? That's because they're like you. So the entire concept when you sell, when we handle objections, when we do anything we do in this, is to practice this system. Okay? So now let's get on to the next page, because you should also have a little sheet here that says example. We're gonna go through the example up here. This is how this works. When we're done with this example, we are then gonna all turn around and team up with the person next to us, and we're gonna spend the next 20 or 30 minutes, depending on what we've got, and we're gonna practice this stuff back and forth. Because I can tell you all about this until you start saying these words over and over again, you'll never get it. So, example 1, what's important about selling your house today? The answer comes back, I need a bigger house. What would you say?
I need a bigger house.
Say that again?
I need a bigger
You
house.
need a bigger house. Oh, so you want a large home.
Yes.
Yeah, but think about what I just said. Now think of it. Oh, you need a bigger house.
Oh, you need a bigger house.
Just listen, you need a bigger house. Does she need a larger home? No. She needs a bigger house. Say those words. So you would say, if I understood you correctly, or anyway, I say that because I used to doubt thing, okay? If I understood you correctly, you said you need a bigger house, correct? Yeah. Okay? Whatever the words are, repeat them. And sometimes a person will go into a 5-minute discussion. Listen to phrases in there. You'll hear them. You'll hear these little phrases where they say, well, I really need this, or I want that, or but. Just repeat them back. You go, okay, example, that's first layer. We're going to go down a layer. So, what's important about getting a bigger house? Then they're going to give you another answer. In this case, well, we have 4 kids and a 3-bedroom house. My 2 little daughters fight all the time, and if they had their own rooms, the fighting would stop. So what's the word? Oh, so I understand your children fight all the time, and if they had their own room, the fighting would stop. Is that correct? Because that's really the problem. Okay? The fight. You know how daughters are. You guys, none of you girls had sisters that you fought with, right? No, never. Okay? But look what they said. Oh, so you need an extra bedroom so your kids leave each other alone? That's how I probably say it, but that's not them. This is always important. Listen, stop thinking about me and start thinking about that person. Think of Monty. Monty's the most important thing on the planet right now. Monty, so if I understood you right, if you had a bigger house, extra bedroom, your 2 oldest daughters have no rooms, they'd quit fighting. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's going, yeah. Okay. So here's the next step. So we've just gone level 1, level 2. Level 3. And this is where the question changes slightly. Ultimately, that's your last question. And by the way, you could do this 100 feet, but people can run out, they get tired after a while. 3's enough. 2 or 3 is enough. Ultimately, what's important about the fighting stopping? And he says, I have a high-stress job and I need more peace and quiet at home. Oh, so if I understood you correctly, you'd have more peace and quiet at home, is that correct? Yes. What are his 3 drivers, his 3 emotional reasons? I need a bigger house, not a larger house. I need a bigger house. The reason I need that is because my 2 oldest daughters fight all the time, and if I have that, the fighting will stop. And when the fighting stops, when I come home, I'll have that peace and quiet because I have this high-stress job. That is this person's drivers right there. Everything you show them from that point forward, everything you do, everything about working with you, listing, buying, whatever, is all about 3 things. Getting a bigger house, fighting stopping, peace and quiet at home. So, Mr. Jones, now notice this house. Now if you do this in here, oh, I really want to go and lowball in this. And this is the seller's market, which means the chances of a lowball offer being accepted and your fighting stopping and then peace and quiet at home are pretty slow. Oh, well, I don't want that. Okay, you see what I just said? You got a buyer wants something. Does he want a lower price or does he want the fighting to stop? He wants the peace and quiet at home. That's what he wants. Those are your reasons. You write these down. I remember, and usually I tend to write things down. Actually, I tend to memorize them because I've been doing this for so long, but I used to write them down all the time. I used to take a clipboard, I'm walking through the house, and I'm asking questions, I'm writing the answers down. Why am I writing the answers down? Because I'm old and slow and I'll forget. That's why. Write them down like they say. That is the pattern to this. So, let me see if I can get this to jump. Okay, tying it together. Okay, now this is what I would say. A person would say, you're sitting there talking to them, they tell you these 3 things, and this is how I would say it. I would literally say, and they would say, so if I understood you correctly, you'd have more peace and quiet at home, is that correct? Yes. This is how you tie it together. Okay, then in order to get a bigger house, so your 2 oldest daughters have their own room, the fighting stops, so you can have more peace and quiet at home, we will need to list your home so that you get the most amount of money in the least amount of time, and then we need to get started on finding you a new home. Any other questions before we get to the paperwork? Just like that. Because this is this person. Okay? Each one of you is unique. And will say these same answers differently and have different motivations. And guess what? A year from now, 2 years from now, over here, gentlemen's there, that reasons may change too. And everything that they want in their life has its own set of unique drivers or emotional content. This is how you get it. What's important, I might be here, what's important about selling your house now? Well, I need a smaller house now. No, I thought 2 years ago you needed a bigger house. Well, the daughters graduated and they're both at college in other states, and I don't have that problem anymore. In fact, see what I'm saying? It just changes. Just because it was 2 years ago, a year ago, or 5 minutes ago, sometimes emotional drivers change. But this is why we ask this question. Then you do not hesitate. The lady that came in the gym, as I told the story, for those of you who have not heard it, a couple of you haven't heard it, when I learned this system, the first round with her was, what's important about coming to the gym today? Like I've told you all, she said, well, she's almost 6 foot, weighed about 270, 280 pounds, which is 6 feet tall. It's not really that big. I mean, okay, it's a big girl, it's not that big. She told me that she put on weight with her 6-year-old and hadn't taken it off, and she wanted to be able to go outside and do things with her son. And I said, okay, you want to be able to go outside and do things with your son? She said, oh yeah, that's really important. I said, okay, and guys, I'd heard this 30 minutes before I started this talk. I'd heard it on a cassette tape. I thought, I'll try it. Whatever, I got sales. I got lots of people lined up. I said, okay, what's important about being able to go outside and do things with your son? And she paused and said, I want him to be proud of me. And I thought, that was odd. Something's up here. However, the guy that trained me on the cassette that I heard, which was a call, back before you did stuff online with, webinars, you did calls on the phone and recorded them, okay? He said, say exactly what they said. So I said to Donna, I said, so if I understood right, you want him to be proud of you? And she said, oh yeah, that's really important. I said, okay, ultimately, what's important about him being proud of you? And she started bawling, weeping, bawling. I'm talking mascara running, bawling. And one of my girls got her, who salespeople came in, and I'm too dumb to get Kleenexes. That thing just drives me nuts to this day. Kleenexes on a table, and she's bawling, and I'm letting her cry, because girls cry, and it's okay to let them cry. Guys, learn that. Girls cry, Travis, girls cry, it's okay. Let them cry. Okay? I learned that from my grandfather, my uncles, right? There's nothing wrong with it. Guys freak out, though, don't they? Yeah? So she gets together, and she says, yesterday, my son came in the house crying because the neighbor kids are making fun of him because his mommy's fat. And I don't ever want him to feel that again. Yeah, look at you. That's emotionally deep, huh? I gotta tell you something, no pause. Now, no pause. I said, great, this is what we're gonna do so that you and he never have to feel this. I go backwards, by the way. Never have to feel this again. So your son is proud of you and you can go outside and do things with your son. This is what we're going to do. And I just laid out that she was going to buy a membership. She's going to pay for 2 years, get 3rd year free. She's going to pay for her husband too, and she's going to buy personal training, and I'm going to get 100 pounds off her. She said, take Visa. Just like that. Because I had touched her emotional reasons. And I had given her the answer to her needs by joining that gym. And she did just like that. And she brought me 52 people in 12 months. Who signed up also. Yeah. I took teams, I took people that didn't know each other, rolled them through, signed them all up, and rolled them out the door with that. I was making so much money. And this new ability to close, where I was really listening to people, and I've transferred it to other things. I've closed huge deals with corporate people, Fortune 500 companies, which never should have given it to us. So many things. The subdivision I've got down in Graham was this question. This is how I got this. This is what linked them to me. They had to continue, but they connected. This question, it's this series of questions, but you gotta practice it. You gotta practice it over and over and over and over and over again for the rest of your life to everybody you talk to every single time. Because you gotta wanna know what they're thinking. Okay, notice. So, as soon as they say this, you just immediately launch. Awesome, so here's what we're gonna do in his case so that you can get a bigger house. I'm doing this 1 through 3. I was originally trained to start at the bottom one and go backwards, but since then, he switched it around and just said start with 1 and go down 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you just immediately say, great, well in order to do that, in order to get you a bigger house, so your 2 oldest daughters have their own rooms and the finance house so you can have more peace and quiet, then this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna list your house, so you just start. And then you get done with that and you say, any questions before we get to the paperwork? And literally half the time, people will go, no, what do I sign? It's that easy because you linked the emotion to what you want. Now, let me ask you a question. If you touch them deeply and emotionally and you're giving them exactly what they want and they feel comfortable and they feel you're going to solve their problems, do you really think there's going to be an objection?
No.
It pretty much wipes most of them out. If there's an objection, okay, if there's an objection, it's because we still have an emotional reason or problem or fear that has not been answered. And anybody, you guys ever get in an argument with anybody? When you were completely right and they were completely wrong? Did that, the fact that you were right and they were wrong, did that stop the argument?
Nope.
No.
You know what causes that argument? They're afraid of something. There's something they're afraid of. When you get angry, you guys never get angry and yell at anybody?
Oh, yeah.
You know what's causing that anger and that yell? You're afraid of something. That's really hard on guys, by the way, isn't it, Money? You're afraid of something. What are you afraid of, Money? Oh my God, I'm not afraid of anything. Come on, it's a fact. We're taught that since we were little kids. The fact is, we are afraid of something. This guy's afraid if he doesn't have peace and quiet, he's gonna come and go postal on somebody. I don't know. He's afraid. You gotta solve the fears. If you get those fears solved, there are no objections. Plus, get this. They've talked to 100 real estate agents in a row. Has anybody else gone this deep or really paid attention to somebody this deep? You are going to be it. You are going to be the only human being in the planet that listens to these people or this person to this level. You're it. Nobody goes this deep. Nobody even uses pattern. So you guys want a unique selling position? Listen to people and use this pattern to learn to listen and solve their problems. They can't go anyplace else and get those 3 problems solved. Because everybody else is just trying to sell a home and get a commission. Right? Don't be that person. Be the person who stops, quits trying to sell, gets to know what's going on, and then drives them towards solving the problem by using you. That's peace. So, at this point, all of you should have one of these, right? We all have one of these? Everybody has one of these, I think? Okay. I want you to take the person next to you, and I want you to practice these 4 questions, and I don't want anybody, if I can get him here, okay? We're gonna take, God, the clock is off. I can't see what time it is. It's 11, 10:30, okay. I wanna take 20 minutes, 15 minutes, let's take 15 minutes. I bet you that'll take 8 and 8, 10, 10. I want each one of you to sit next person next to you, and I want you to start with, and I want you to write, get your pens out, okay? I want you to ask the person next to you the first question, let them answer. Oh, here's the key too, by the way, this is, everybody wants to do this. All of you want to do this, I know, because I do too. You want to give them an answer. When people pause, you say, what's important about selling your house? And they pause, and they think about it. We want to rush in and give them an answer. Do not do that. Those are your words. You want their words. Their words and the order of their words are the emotion. That's the direct link. You give them the words, it's no longer connected to their emotions. Okay, so take, I don't know, 7, 8 minutes each side. Ask each one of the 4 questions. I want you to write down what they say, verbiage, exactly what they say, and I want you to repeat it back. I just want you to do one level. What's important about selling your home, listen to what they say, write it down, say, so if I understood you correctly, just follow the example, this is what you said. Now, for those of you who are being asked the question, if they don't repeat it exactly verbatim how you said it, say no. Verbatim. Whatever you say, they need to spit it back out exactly like you said. Okay, so we have 15 minutes. Keep going. Sit down and talk to each other. I can't wait any longer. I gotta talk to you guys. What did you learn?
We're living too far.
What'd you learn?
It's good repeating the question.
Say it again.
How you repeat the question is strong, because it's hard, I'm not used to doing it, but it helps reiterate that you're actually listening.
Did all of you have the same issue? I know, did you have the same issue, learning to ask the question?
Yes.
Boy, it was tough to repeat exactly what they said, huh? But did you all find the same thing? Was it hard to remember what they said? And the words, like he said, what did we say? What was the one I said something about get or got or?
Everyone's
You wrote it down. You wrote it down.
Let's see, so, you got transferred to another state. And I said, you were transferred.
Yeah.
Were, and you said, got.
Got. I got transferred to another state. Oh, you got transferred to another state. Yeah. You know why this is so difficult? All of us have been running around our whole lives worried that when we walk into a room, that the people there will like us. We haven't. We're worried about what we're going to say so we fit in. These are the things we're worried about, right? We all, right? And the fact is, you need to do a paradigm shift. You need to step left, and when you walk in that room, you need to wonder not whether they're going to like you, but whether you're going to like anybody in the room. Are you going to like them? Come from that position. Stop worrying about what you're going to say. Because if I'm worried about whether I'm going to like you, I don't care what I'm thinking. I don't. I want to know what she's thinking. And my entire focus just shifted. I no longer care about me. I'm not worried about me. This is our problem we've had since we were somewhere down about there, okay? We've always been running around worried that we'll be okay. Worried that people will like us. Worried that we're cute enough, we're strong enough, we're handsome enough, whatever it is. We're worried that we'll be okay. Stop it. Step left. Start worrying about whether you're going to like these people or not. Pay attention to them. Your stuff, people come up all the time and they, oh, tell me all about your state. I said, listen, I know all about me. I'm bored. I want to know about you. I tell people that all the time. I know about me. My stuff's boring to me. I want to know about you. And that changes the conversations. This is the paradigm shift, the little shift in our heart and our brain. Stop worrying about you and start worrying about what's going on with them, because you might not like them. You may not. You may find out this is somebody you don't want to do business with. How about this? You go in, you sign a listing agreement, and you find out that the person you've listed is, I don't know, homicidal maniac. You want to work with them? Probably not. Wouldn't it have been better to find that out beforehand?
Yes.
Okay, I'm using an extreme, okay? You get what I'm saying. You may not like these people. You may not want to work with them. And you only have so much time, and you are important too. So we want to be of the best service we can. It's hard to remember. That's why I tell you to write this stuff down in the beginning. Just write it down. Plus, when you're writing stuff down, sometimes I'll have people say, what do you write down? So I'm making sure I remember what you told me because you're important to me. And people actually don't quite know what to do when you say that. Oh, okay, that's great. Okay, awesome. Okay. So what else did we learn? Anybody else? What'd you learn in doing this?
Just make them open up more.
Make-
They open up more to you. They'll
That-
tell you more about
They
what
will.
happened.
Isn't that
And you
cool?
find the bottom line.
Yeah.
And it's all emotions, what make them felt at the time. That's why it's so important for them now.
Yeah, it is. Awesome, thank you. Who else? Anybody? What'd you learn? Anybody? Anybody? Nobody?
You end up letting the clients talk more while you're listening by asking the questions.
Was that 2 ears to 1 mouth ratio, right? Ask a question, let them roll. You don't have to have answers, you just gotta listen to what they say. They'll give you the answers. Here's the key, right? And I just said it. You do not have to have the answers. The other person has the answers. If you're not listening to them, you don't know what to give the answer, but they'll tell you the answer. We're all running around saying, pick me, pay attention to me, I'm important, please make me feel important. Please make me feel comfortable. Please make me not be afraid. Listen, this is called basic relationship, human relationship 101. But we're taking it to a bit of an extreme. We're showing you the pattern and the structure. If you practice this every day with everybody, I literally I still do this, I'll go through grocery lines. The checker will be there, you know, and I always like joke around, says he's staying out of trouble, especially the older ladies. I learned something. Do not ask an 85-year-old lady if she's staying out of trouble. You do not want to hear what comes out of their mouth. Because they're at a stage, they don't care anymore. Yeah, I'm just like, ooh, what? That's what I was doing. Yeah, but I like to joke around with it, right? And I'll say, and they'll say, or maybe they'll have something on, like to have, we got our favorite shirt on, whatever, or maybe it's like, it's Seahawks, or something better, yeah. Okay, the QFC on Bothell, right there on, what is it, Bothell, Everett Highway and the 405, there's QFC right there. And there's a lady, they did the Seahawks. Everybody's in Seahawks, right? One lady had on, Cassia had on Kansas City. Yeah, Kansas City hat, Kansas City jersey. And I'm going through and I said, KC? She said, dang right? And we're doing this back and forth chat. And I said, look, what's so important about showing everybody that you, she said, I live in the land of Seahawks. And she said, I don't want everybody to know there's better teams out there. Oh, she wanted them to know there are better teams, huh? She said, we're joking back and forth. This is just going through the checking. But I'm asking, all the time. My wife, she'll be off on something. I'll say, what's important about this, dude? What's going on? And it's a chance to open up. Now, if the person doesn't trust you yet at all, they will be very reluctant to open up. The way I solve that is I just say to them, listen, I know I've got to ask some of these questions. I know it's tough to get them out. And for what I'm feeling, you don't trust me yet. I mean, you still think I'm a salesperson. I'm okay with that. It's completely okay. My job is to help you be comfortable. So as we progress, if I can do that for you, that's what I'm really trying to do. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
And I know it's tough. I know it is. We just have to kind of learn, right? I'm sure you've had some examples with brokers before it didn't work out, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. He says, oh, yeah. Well, tell me about it. What was important about the broker? So with that stuff, what's important about the broker? See, I just got to it. What's important about the broker you're about to start working with? Well, he just opened up because I just gave him. I just calibrated that piece. I said, I can feel it. Talk about it. There's an 800-pound gorilla in the room. That's an 800-pound gorilla. Talk about that 800-pound gorilla. Be cool with it. Do you see what I said? People will open up. And the more you can help them realize that you are not out to take advantage of them, you really did help them, the more they will open up to you. So we are going to have a special guest, Travis Neubauer from Fairway Independent Mortgage, is going to talk a little bit about how he hoped to he has a recording he wanted to play and then walk you through it on a deal that they should have got away but didn't because they closed it. Handle objections. He's going to talk a little bit about objections. So now here's where we're at. We've split. This is something that if you will do this and practice this daily, whatever it is you want to achieve in real estate or the rest of your life will happen because of this training right here. Practice this. Travis is going to take 20 minutes to talk about this, and then we're going to go into handling the actual objections. Travis?
So I'm a sinner, but I don't know about super or very special guest. So I know pretty close to everybody in the room here, but for those of you that don't know very well yet, nice to meet you. So I like a lot of what you guys are talking here today. I like a lot of what you guys are talking about today. First, I'll do a quick what's my background with overcoming objections. Like, why is it relevant for me to be in here right now, right? So I started my mortgage career as a loan officer at Ditech, which was a huge call center down in Phoenix and Costa Mesa, California. And your phone rang, right? So you went through 2 weeks of training. Here's how to become a loan officer. This wasn't where I started, but this was where it took off, right? I started it with a small broker shop, doing deals, onesie, twosie, right? Trying to figure out what I was gonna do. But when I got to Ditech was a monster. It was like the craziest sales culture. It was a warehouse full of cubicles. There were 200 loan officers just in that one space, and then all the operations people to support it. It was like 500 people in that one building, right? And Ditech spent $12 million a month on TV commercials. And you went through 2 weeks of training with some very charismatic salespeople that had been there for a long time, and they basically taught you how to work your way through the system. And Ditech stands for Direct Technology. So what they had done really well is created a platform for somebody to be a loan officer that didn't know how to be a loan officer. So being a loan officer is way more complicated than you would expect it to be, right? And you guys have been doing deals, you've realized, right? What went wrong? How did that happen? How didn't you catch it? And you'll start to hear some crazy stuff, right? so they created this platform where anybody could really learn how to be a good loan officer, right? And I was young, hungry, motivated. You go through this 2 weeks of training, you come out, and now you answer phone calls. And so you learn how to manage a big pipeline, but you're also sitting in this sea of cubicles, and if you're paying attention, you're hearing some pretty cool stuff, right? So I had gone from being the worst employee of all time before that, as like a bartender and a waiter in college. I started a coffee shop down in Arizona because I went to ASU, and I went from being the worst employee of all time to being self-employed. And now being self-employed, the best employee of all time. I'm immediately, like, the things going through my mind are, oh my God, I'm hiring a bunch of Travises. This is terrible. Like, nobody is responsible. They show up late. Their uniform's all wrong. They don't care, right? And so I was pretty young when I did that. I had 4 coffee shops, and I ran that for a while until I got tired. The girl I was dating at the time, who I met in one of the high-rise buildings where I had a coffee shop, was a loan officer. I studied finance and economics. I was pretty comfortable with it. And so I took a little vacation, took some time off, and then I got into the mortgage business. Closed a couple deals on my own, realized I really liked it. A friend of mine that lived in Costa Mesa, California, where Ditech was started and from, said, Ditech's coming to Phoenix, they're gonna open a center, you need to get in early. Now, I had just closed my first couple loans. And the first loan I closed, back then, loan officers were a lot like real estate brokers in the sense that you chose what you had control of the commission, right? But the problem with that was, you could change your commission during the process. And this is more complicated, I'm gonna go from this to this. And it wasn't super common, but some people really took advantage of that. And they would tell people in the last day, hey, it's not 2 points, it's 4 points, and people would do that. Now, you're going down a path of professionalism that I don't relate to. So, but that was happening, so now there's all these rules. But back then I closed my first couple deals. I had what at the time was a pretty competitive, I wasn't trying to make too much, I was the new guy in the block trying to run a business. My first couple deals, were $10,000, $12,000, $13,000 in commission per deal. I'm thinking this is a lot of coffee to sell, right? Because the margin on coffee was super small, right? So I was super happy. I went to talk to Ditech after my friend said, you have to go see them, it's amazing. And meanwhile, he's living in Orange County, we're in our early 20s. He had just bought a Ferrari that was 5 years old. When I was over there visiting him, I'm just like, oh my God, what's going on? What are you doing over here? And so I listened, right? I paid attention. We played baseball together in college, that's how we knew each other. And I went and I had this meeting at Ditech, and it's a call center, right? So the structure's way different. So they paid, it wasn't you make what you want to make, it was here's our price, here's how it works. You're gonna make 40 to 50 basis points on every loan you do. Well, that's 0.4 to a half of a point on every loan. And I called my friend, I go, what's wrong with you? I just made 3 points on the first couple deals. I'm brand new. Why would I do this? He says, you're listening to the wrong things, right? Talk about this, and he was right? So he said, you don't know what you're doing yet. You're out there on your own. This place is a machine. Learn the business. You'll make really good money doing it. You just have to work hard. Are you gonna work hard anyways? Well, yeah, I was just self-employed for 4+ years, right? And sure enough, he was right. So I went back, and it was like I got a master's degree in mortgage and real estate. So this is 2003 at the time, where it's a little bit of a refi boom at the time. Rates were incredibly low at 5%, right? That was the lowest rates had been in a long time, it was 5%. And so there's this huge refi boom. And $12 million a month makes the phone ring. So calls are coming in. I was young, I was hungry, and I was a good observer, right? A good listener. I didn't know all those years of waiting tables and being a bartender in college were gonna be so good for sales, right? You were trying to get tips, trying to make people happy, right? I'm also kind of an outgoing person. I like to have fun, so that just helped with it, right? And then, so now I'm in this environment, I'm around these salespeople, these loan officers have been around for a really long time, my phone's ringing, I'm kind of stumbling through, but I'm just hearing stuff constantly from people all over the place. And that was so valuable. Then doing business I got licensed in 27 states, I think, and there were 20 states you didn't have to have a license. So really only 4 states I couldn't do business in. And the campaigns are national. So I got to see manufactured homes in Missouri, high-rise condos in Miami, villas in Southern California. You saw everything, right? And what a brand like Ditech does, right? I tell people it wasn't a mortgage company, it was a marketing company that did mortgages, right? They were really, really good at that brand over and over again. It was on TV. They had, their TV commercials were fantastic. The original ones were the worst, but they worked. It was like an old guy, mortgage banker in an office with a big calculator and a roll of paper, and he'd have somebody sitting across from him, and they'd say, well, I called Ditech, and they said they would do this for me, and he kept doing like, oh, I lost another loan to Ditech. Like that was the commercial.
Yeah.
You remember those?
Yeah.
He had like the glasses and the green visor, like all that, right? The comb over, like it was so funny. And so you do that over and over again, and people are comfortable with you. Looking back in hindsight, Ditech didn't even have the best rates, but they had very, very good branding, and you were comfortable and familiar with them. It's why, you guys have worked with people that are saying, no, I'm working with Chase or Bank of America or Wells Fargo. And you say, it's a nightmare, don't do it. They don't do things this way. And they say, that's who I'm working with, right? You have to be really, really good to say, that's fine, but you have to go talk to this person too. I don't care if you decide that you want to go with them, you have to go talk to this person too so you can find out the differences. But that's why it's the branding, it's the familiarity, and they're comfortable with it, right? So I listened, I paid attention, I was hungry, I was motivated. I would, I wanted to make money, right? I remember saying, God, I can't wait until I make, this much a month, or I do this much a month, right? I'm coming in every day, I'm competitive. It was the best sales culture I'd ever been part of. And so what I learned with my phone ringing that much, so for one, you learn the mortgage business, because you learn every scenario in the country that you could possibly come across, but you also learn how to talk to people. And I already had some pretty good experience talking to people, right? But now all of a sudden I'm talking to people about mortgages, this very specific thing that I've never talked to before. I'm not connecting face to face, so I feel like I can connect people face to face, but now I don't have that. So now I have to be really good at listening for what they want, what their motivations are. And if I did that, right? And this wasn't a sales training that I went through, it wasn't a class that I went through, it was just realizing when I listen to people and I talk and you connect with what they want, you understand them better, right? And then you can't tell when you look at me, my grandpa's from India, so I'm a quarter Indian, so all my aunts and uncles are half Indian, and all my uncles are still very traditional Indian culture. And if you guys have worked with anybody who's Indian, the culture in general is just, they want to negotiate everything. It doesn't matter if there's like a sandwich that's cut in half on the table, which was a big, I like that one. I like that one, right? It's just, it's part of your DNA, right? And so I remember one of my uncles told me, he called me to do a refinance. I was like 26. So it was really cool that he trusted me to do his refinance, right? He knew what he was doing. He was gonna go somewhere else if I wasn't gonna do a good job. But so they're all structural engineers, software engineers, and doctors, right? I went completely other direction and went to Arizona State University and partied and started a coffee shop and got into the mortgage business, right? He told me at a really young age that I was a salesperson. He said, yeah, but you're a salesperson. So offended. I was so offended. I'm 40, I just turned 40 a couple weeks ago, and I'm still mad. I'm still like, when he said that, it still makes me mad. We have a really good relationship, but what it did is it made me really think, right? What do you mean I'm just a salesperson? You're just gonna say whatever I wanna hear. You wanna sell me something. I was so offended by that because I took myself seriously as a professional, right? So for me, what that's kind of turned into over time is being a really good salesperson is just knowing your job, right? It's just knowing your craft. And it takes a long time to get there. And so for me, not overcoming objections, but avoiding objections ahead of time, right? Making sure the objection's not even gonna be there by addressing stuff head on as early as you possibly can and without even thinking about it, without being nervous about it, right? So I wanted to be the best loan officer that I possibly could, right? I wanted to be good at my job so that sales wasn't, you wanna buy this and I have it, here's the price. It was, you wanna buy this because you're gonna tell me why you wanna buy this, right? I'm gonna listen to you. I'm gonna make sure I understand why you wanna buy it. Then I'm gonna say, here are all the reasons this is your top choice, and this is your second choice, and this is your third choice, right? So then I wasn't selling you something, I was showing you your options. And being a good salesperson was listening, building a relationship, and connecting with you. And then, you know, one of the things that Ronnie talked a lot about just now was asking questions, right? And you know, you just said it a few minutes ago. The more questions you ask, the more they talk, right? It's not just a strategy, right? Sales isn't just a strategy on getting people to buy something from you. It's true. It's real. Like if you change your mindset going into it, that I'm going to sell you something, and you make it more about there's an opportunity, somebody wants to buy something here, can I be the person that represents them, right? And how do I make that happen? So try to connect with them, be genuine, right? The sooner you guys, I don't know how much sales experience everybody has, so I'm just talking in generalities as if there's none, right? The sooner you understand who you are as a salesperson, as a real estate broker, and who you like working with, the sooner you're going to realize, focus and spend time on people that are going to see value in you, right? So be totally genuine to who you are out of the gate from the beginning, and build a network and a database of people that like that, right? You'll waste your entire life chasing people that don't want to do business with you, right? Because they have more, they have money, they have influence, they have, those things are good, but if they don't align with you on a personal level, don't even chase it, right? So the call that I wanted to play today that kind of ties some of this stuff together. What was that?
Type in emails.
Sorry. I thought you were playing something for me.
No.
The call that I was going to play for you guys today, so the server's down. So we host all of our calls. I'll start talking background so I can talk about why we're going to play this call. So we do, I do a lot of lead generation, a lot of online lead generation. So for me, it's all about get to the consumer first, right? Everybody's got a referral, and that's part of the game, that's part of the business. But I want to get to the consumer first. I want to have a team of people that know how to be valuable to the person immediately and build a relationship, right? And now we're their professional, right? So we do a lot of lead generation. There's a lot of phone calls that come with that. It's totally different than network stuff, right? And so we record the phone calls. And the call that I wanted to play was perfect timing. I was in our training room in our office right down the street here in Bellevue, and I had 4 of the loan officers that were working this lead generation campaign, and they're with me. And I was playing some of their phone calls from the past week. And some of the phone calls, these were seasoned loan officers that have been around. And so they were underwriting the client, they were underwriting this brand new potential client up front because, there's going to be something wrong with it. I just know it, right? Or do I want to waste my time with this? And these are spoiled loan officers that have been around too long, have been fed too much, right? They have too much coming in, that they're asking all these questions to see, is this a quick deal for me, or is this something that I have to? And so for me, I get it, you want the quick deal, but if you want me to keep feeding you the quick deals, you got to work the hard ones too, right? And so it's just
treat everyone the same.
Yeah, and I'm not mad at them for doing that. I get it. It's my job to make sure that I'm getting value, right, out of what we're doing, and making sure that they see that there really is value in doing that. So, on purpose, I logged myself into the system so that if a new lead came in, I could call. And a new lead came in, and it was on a first-time home buyer campaign that we have, and it was on Friday Harbor, right? And so in the class, I called the guy in the class. I called him, hey, how's it going? What are you looking for? And he said, hey, I'm looking at a piece of land in Orcas Island, and I want to build a house on it. I'm a general contractor. And I said, great. So pause right there for a second. Who knows about new construction for an individual? Does anybody in here know what that's like at all? So it's way overcomplicated. It's not easy. So there are very few products out there that exist for, it's called custom construction. It means that I'm gonna buy land myself, I'm gonna do architect, drawing, all that, I'm gonna build it myself. Custom construction financing is very difficult, right? And there are a bunch of reasons why it's difficult. And on top of that, if you are doing a custom construction loan and you're a general contractor and you want to get yourself approved to be the general contractor, you have to go through a bunch of hoops to get there. It's not that easy, right? And so Most loan officers are gonna hear that. This guy wants to buy a house, new construction, oh, this isn't. But I listened to what he said and I just started asking some questions, right? Oh, so you found a piece of land that you like, okay, what do you wanna do with it? I'm a general contractor. So this was education for me, letting him understand what it takes to get custom construction, to build a house. And what are you actually trying to accomplish? And is custom construction really the right way to go, right? And so by asking a bunch of questions, I realized he doesn't want to build his own house. He isn't going to get approved to be a general contractor. So I just took the time to explain to him in a really simple way, right? You're a general contractor. I'm going to loan you $500,000 to build a house. I've never met you before. I don't know you. Do you have a book of business? Do you have a portfolio of homes that you've built over the past 20 years that I can look at? Well, no, but okay, well, so can you understand how, as a lender, I don't want to give you $500,000 to build a house if you can't show me that you've done it so many times before? And totally got it, right? You could have had a really complicated conversation with that person about the guidelines and the rules, and he would have just felt like you're blowing smoke, right? Made him really clearly understand what the options are for it, and listened and asked questions. Well, we ended up buying a manufactured home with an FHA loan and 3.5% down.
Really?
Yeah, but on Friday Harbor, in Friday Harbor, it was a $450,000 manufactured home because it was right across the street from the water, and it was nice, and he wants to do an addition and add to it. But he's a contractor, so he's gonna do all that work himself, right? So, but I asked a bunch of questions that led to, I want to put a big shop on it. I don't care about the house can be small. I want to buy a big shop for my job, for what I do. I want to be really close to the water. And so we got to, why don't we find a small property that's close to the water, that's not going to be super expensive. You can do whatever you want to it. Unless you want to put 30% down to buy land and then 30% down on new construction and a bunch of upfront costs for feasibility study and all this other stuff, right? So, super long explanation to say, just listen and ask questions, right? That's it. Hopefully that was valuable at all. It was nothing, it wasn't anything earth shattering, but listen and ask questions, right? And find out what they want.
Thank you. Any questions for me? Remember, sometimes a different perspective. Some things Travis said I want you to catch. And the mint just went down the wrong pipe. Don't you just love that one, right? I thought it was exciting. He said, this wasn't some training I went to or a class to learn this. It was just something I felt. And what he was feeling is the need to connect with the people. This pattern I taught you is how you connect. You connect every time. But again, you got to do it all the time so it becomes part of you, just like what you do. You ask the question. You do this instinctively now. This system, if you follow, will give it to you every single time in 5 minutes. Which would become cool, right? However, it's an inherent thing. It's what we feel. We all want to connect. And one of the things Travis is really good at is what we call beta sales techniques versus alpha techniques. Most techniques, you learn how to close somebody, right? You're going to get them close. A beta technique is this. There's a big ball at the top of a hill. You want it on the bottom of the hill, and you just remove the blocks out of the way, so when you nudge it, it rolls down the hill on its own. And all of the things that would stop it are gone. Remove ahead of time the issues. How do you find the issues? You got to ask questions.
Yes, absolutely.
And the pattern for asking these questions is what gives you those emotional answers. Remember, it's all emotion. We justify here. Okay, so let's talk a little bit then about, any questions for him? Anything you want to ask him? You got him up here. He's pretty smart.
How many years are you, I think you've told me before, but are you
Yeah.
at Fairway now again?
Yeah.
Is it, how much, 7 or 10?
In the business?
With Fairway, that you left?
No, so my team's been at Fairway for 2 years now.
Okay.
We went over there 2 years ago. I ran the West Coast in a previous company.
How long did you leave Ditech? I'm just curious.
Ditech closed, the original Ditech, which was the call center, and owned by GMAC ResCap, the biggest lender in the country back then. They closed 2009, and it was really GMAC sold them off into liquidation to a Cerebras Capital investment group. So 2009, I went on my own and started a broker shop in Arizona, and did that until GMAC's name was bought back, and they asked me to come back again. I did that, yeah. So it was about 7 years at Ditech. As a loan officer, I mean, I should throw this out there because this is relevant to the sales and I closed 60 deals a month on average as a loan officer there. My biggest month was like 93, and then I ran a team of 40 people that averaged 40 deals a month.
Wow.
And you just see you learn a lot with that kind of volume, right? And you learn how to manage a big pipeline, you learn how to manage people, all that kind of stuff.
Across the board, average loan officer in the country probably closed 4 or 5 a month. What's the average?
Yeah, no, so the national average over the last 20 years is 3 a month.
Yeah.
It's like 3.5, the average loan officer closes 3.5 a month, right?
So if you're doing 40 or 50 or 60, even though you're in a machine type of environment, you are dealing with a lot. In 1 month, you end up dealing with the same amount of people most people close in 2 years. You learn a lot.
Yeah. The one thing that I did want to add, that it was only like one thing, don't focus on the result when you're selling houses, right? When you're doing real estate. Don't focus on the result of finding them a house. Focus on the conversation and focus on the relationship that you're building with them. Because naturally, when you're selling somebody a house and you're talking about their kids, where they work, their school, their significant others, their family, those things they're gonna make a connection. And don't be afraid, Ronnie will kill me for saying this, don't be afraid to decide, I don't wanna work with this person.
Yeah.
Quickly, just refer to somebody else. And do it in a way that makes sense for you. Like if you like, this is not my cup of tea. Just say, hey, I've got a peer that works down in that knows this market really, really well. They're down here all the time. I should hook you up with them, right? And then get a referral so that it stays on the team. But if you're not connecting with them and you feel like they're not feeling you, let it go.
Yeah.
There's more opportunities out there. So don't focus on the result. Focus on the actual activity. Focus on what you're doing with them. I think.
So another way to remember this, do not be a rent-a-friend. You guys know what a rent-a-friend is? A rent-a-friend is someone you like who is your personal trainer, your doctor, your loan officer, your people that you're doing business with. That becomes a rent-a-friend. They're renting you for a period of time. Don't be that. You may be the rent-a-friend, you may be the professional. The relationship. It's all the relationship.
Yeah, what he's talking about here with the steps of making the phone calls, asking the questions, calling them on their 1-year anniversary that they bought their house, calling them on their birthday, those things, you can call it a template if you want. It's a template of activities that you should do to remind yourself. I just call it being organized, right? It's just being organized. It's people sell this. Come by my system for $300 a month, and I'm going to keep you in front of your clients, your past clients, your future clients. What they're really selling is organization, right? Because the activity itself of calling people on their birthday, calling them on their 1-year anniversary, randomly saying, hey, did you try this coffee shop in the neighborhood? It's one of my favorites. Those things, those are a real relationship, right? And you can only have so many relationships with so many people and make so many phone calls. So it's just the structure that he's talking about that's so valuable.
So let's jump to the rest of handling the objections, the system. Thank you, God. By the way, good traveling to you. And like I said, now I've opened up entire states for mortgage companies. I've been in the same thing here. Okay? I like real estate better. The benefit you get with me, and the reason we work so well together is I know what he's got to do. I'm not a regular real estate agent that just goes to some loan officer and expects miracles. I know exactly what he's up against, so it makes the relationship work really well. Now I can work with any set of loan officers in this entire state I want. I get them all the time. Who do I choose? Choose Travis, because he understands how to get these things done. And that's what I'm looking for. Rates are irrelevant, because you can have any rate you want, okay? Find, again, a relationship. And I find that by working with Travis and his team, I get more deals done, and the headache is a lot less. And all of you understand headaches in deals, right? We all understand, we all have those. So minimizing your headaches is this. So the first thing you do when you're handling objections is first you learn to ask the right questions. Number 2, never argue with them, right or wrong. They did not give you permission to make them wrong, okay? Whoever that person is did not give you permission. And, sorry, Adam, I can't talk right now. Hold on a second, it kicks me off. So there's a talk, a story where Benjamin Franklin, 1776, founding father for America, Benjamin Franklin, after the country was established, 1800s, was in France on a diplomatic mission, big dinner. He's got a young diplomat from America and him. Across the table is a delegate from France. The young delegate from America and the gentleman from France are arguing that the statement, "to thine own self be true," the kid is saying it's Shakespeare, and the delegate's saying that it's in the King James Version of the Bible. The guys, it's Shakespeare.
Yeah.
It is Shakespeare. The kid's arguing with him. Older gentleman says, let's ask Benjamin. He knows. They look at Benjamin Franklin. He says, it's in the King James Version of the Bible, and kicks the kid in the shin. It's like this. Later, kid says, why did you do that? You know that is that is Shakespeare. He says, I do. But that man did not give you permission to make him wrong. And we're about relationships. Don't argue with people. Quick example, and I've used these a lot. The one we did in Everett, probably my closest one of my funnest ones. I go to a canceled appointment. You know, canceled withdrawn, huh? He sets up an appointment, does it on Thursday. I have it at 11 on Friday. Some of you have heard this. I come to the door, knock on the door. Tall guy comes to the door. I said, I'm Ronnie Hale, Century 21. Got an appointment with you. He says, yes, you do. Did you bring a buyer? And I said, no. I like to sign the listing contract first before I bring you a buyer because I like paid. You like paid, don't you? He said, I do. I said, okay. He says, well, a broker came over yesterday after you called, and today at 5, he's going to bring back a signed purchase contract, so I'm not listing with anybody. And what do you say? Awesome! That's great! I said, wonderful. Listen, since I'm here, why don't you give me a tour of the house? 3 hours later, I have a signed listing contract.
Oh,
That's right. I'm there for a reason. He needs something done, and I know how to figure out what he wants because I know how to ask the questions. He'll tell me, he'll bond, we'll connect. He signed, not only did he sign the listing contract, but the reason it took 3 hours is we went next door to the neighbor who had committed to sign a listing contract for his house to a Keller Williams agent, and I almost got him to sign too. That's why it took 3 hours. The guy just finally was shaking. He said, I gave the guy my word. He said, I promised him. I said, look, dude, it's okay, relax, okay? It's okay. I let him off the hook. If I would have been a vicious closer, I'd have closed it, took it, and couldn't care less. I gave him some room, okay? They gave me 3 referrals off it, plus I sold the other guy's house. Remember, I'm not listing with anybody. Never argue, okay? Politically, I'm not a big fan of Obama. I'm not. I don't like anything he did. Very little feeling. But you know what I do like about him? How he treats his wife. See, I have a tremendous respect for how he handles and treats his wife, at least in public. I have no idea what they're on. But when you watch how he takes care of Michelle, he does a great job. I have great respect for that. Do I like him politically? No. But I really like how he does this. See, I can find a common ground. Find common ground with people. Don't argue with them. They don't give you permission to make them right. So, mimic. Wrong direction. Direction? Okay, so when a person has a question, they say, what about this? Or, you real estate agents make too much money. What do you say?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You know what? If I was in your shoes, right? If I heard you correctly, you say that real estate agents make too much money, right? Well, listen, if I was in your shoes, I'd feel the same way. Let me ask you a question. You start. Because they're telling you something that's going on in the background. That's what they're telling you. Let's talk about that. Let's go to this thing. Let's figure this out. Travis said, focus on the relationship. Okay? Also, in all objections, there's a thing called a pre-close. Okay? I learned this in health club business. Person would say, do you have treadmills? And I'd say, well, if we have treadmills, is that the only thing stopping you from getting started today? Well, no, I need to go, okay, well, let's talk about the other things you need. Because see, many times the objection they tell you isn't really the problem. They're just kind of putting it out there. We're in the habit of putting it out there, because I feel like you're a salesman and you're going to pressure me. Right? You have to learn to connect. So, ask pre-close question. That's the only question holding you back from getting started today. That is a pre-call question. So whatever they ask you, whatever their objection is, You can just say, is the commission being full price the only thing stopping you from getting started today? Well, yeah, great. Answer that and close, okay? No, well, let's dig a little deeper. Let's get into a relationship, okay? Okay, now what other issues haven't been uncovered yet? You can't solve a problem if you don't know what it is, and once you've uncovered the real issue, handle them and close. Handle the question, and then ask. Remember, I don't know, do you do open houses? Okay, somebody answer this question. I'm a salesman, I'm not a salesman, I'm the seller. You come to me, and I ask you, do you do open houses?
Is it important to you that we do an open house?
No, I actually hate them.
Well, then we won't do one.
Okay, well, this is it. Now think about this. People do it all the time. They'll say, oh yeah, we have the greatest open houses, and they go into a 20-minute spill about open houses, and that couple is sitting there. And I've been in the room when this has happened, and then I've actually reached out with one of my salespeople in another state, put my hand on the side of his shoulder and just said, hold on a second. And he's 5 minutes, I just stopped. And I said to the gentleman, I said, do you want open houses? And he said, that's what he said, no. I said, okay, he won't do them. You know what, and the younger guy, he was like, oh, and he caught, and I just kind of stepped in and kind of helped keep everything moving because he needed to close, but he was inexperienced. I don't know what the guy wants, not pre-close it. Is this the only thing stopping you, holding you back from getting started today? That's your closing sequence, okay? Remember, don't answer the question. Ask if it's important or critical or do they want it or not before you answer. Because I'm gonna tell you, the last thing you want is to have somebody say, no, I hate that, and then you're stuck. Okay?
Just cornered yourself.
If you do get stuck, if you find yourself there, here would be my suggestion. I would sit right there and say, okay, let's stop for a second. I said, I'm an idiot, and I feel like an idiot, and I should have listened to you, and I didn't, and I apologize. Did that make you feel any better? And I bust up laughing and say, and I just tell them, I would calibrate it on the spot. Because I'm getting real. I'm getting really real about the mistake I just made. And I'm talking it out with them. I'm seeing if I can salvage the relationship. Yeah, I do. I just talk about it. Whatever it is, because once it's out of the way, it's out of the way. Okay, never assume. Just because the seller asks what doesn't mean that they what they want. We just did this one. You know what happens when you assume, right? Okay, for those of you from where you get this. Okay, so example, open houses, lots of, oh yeah, ask what's about, never assume a open house is something you like. Right? There we go through. Heck no. Last broken. It could be anything. I had one client recently, and Maria was out on some of these open houses, wanted an open house every weekend. And I said, no, we will not be doing that. Oh, good. What was they want the house sold. They thought they knew more about selling a house than we did.
If you mind me asking, what was your answer to that?
Say it again.
What did you, when she says I wanted every, why did you explain why?
I said, what's important about that for you? What is it that you think that's going to do for you? I started into the questions. I need to know why. I said, what do you think? And she started going on about, she was about her vision of how it needed to sell, the process. And then I got a chance to talk about actual process. I got a chance to talk about her cultural beliefs versus America's, because she's from China. And she had a different set of cultural beliefs, right? And we had, and that was where I got part of her cultural beliefs out and were able to address them. And she still didn't quite get it. We listed the house, but about 4 weeks later, in conversations, one of the things she said was, okay, my culture is different than here. It's not quite working the way I want it. I said, no, listen, that's okay. I said, we discussed this in the beginning. I said, I needed you to learn this. So now that we're here, here's how we're gonna proceed. Yeah, okay. Do you put flyers on the sign? You know the question. Do you want flyers on the sign? Absolutely, great, yep, they're out there. No, I can't stand them, people put them all the yard. No, we don't do them. We do a digital flyer actually. They can, Okay, let's talk about the 3 main objections that Rango wants you to handle. And I'm gonna give this, we have exactly 20 minutes. So let's talk about this. It's always the price, the commissions, and I want to think about it. Yeah. Let's talk about price. What happens when you know that house is worth $500,000 and they want $600,000 and it's a listing? What do you do? Yeah. Okay, price. How do you handle price? Now, mind you, part of this is the market you're in. A seller's market, where there are more buyers than sellers, is when there's 90 days or less is the average time on the market. A neutral market is from 3 months to 6 months. That's a balanced market. Same amount of buyers as sellers, prices go up 2 or 3%, 4% per year. You don't get some, okay. And a buyer's market is when there's one buyer for every 10 houses. It changes how you handle price in each market a little, but the basic concept's the same. All right? Hot seller's market? What is different? In a hot seller's market, just get the listing. Get it. Unless it's so far overboard that it's not going to be worth the money you're going to put into it. If you get a listing that you know is not going to sell, what can you use it for? Lead generation, marketing, open houses, sign calls, flyer calls, just listed, postcards. There's so many things you can do with a house that you know is not going to sell just to generate leads. And that's what it becomes. You have to make a decision. Do you have enough leads coming in? If you don't, take it. Just don't spend a lot of money on it. Don't spend $5,000 or $500 on photos, and don't do that, okay? If you know. In a hot seller's market, the advice is to take the listing. Work them down, just don't put a lot in if you know it's over. And you tell them, I tell you right now, your house is listed for more than it's going to sell for, but I want you to know that. We'll take it, and we're going to do everything we can to make it sell. And people will, okay, and then we set them up for 3 weeks from now, we're going to go back in and redo it. We'll show you how to do that another time, but that's the concept. Take it. However, if it's overpriced, make sure you either have a solid CMA or a solid line so you can show them. Here's one thing that you definitely want to deal with. When people think their house is worth more, if you've done your comparables correct, and you have the CMA with you, I use it online. I will always have my CMA online with me because I want to open it up and start showing them pictures of the houses down the street that sold for less money than theirs so they can compare. And many times people will look at it and say, oh, that's a nicer house than mine. Oh, mine, and you help them tell you that it's overpriced. However, always emphasize correctly, help them achieve. Pricing correctly will help you achieve your emotional hot buttons. Bang, 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 bang. If we do this correctly, you're going to be able to get the house you want, the new house you want. Your daughters are going to be able to have their own bedroom, the final stop, and you're going to get peace and quiet at home. If you price right. If you don't, that fighting is going to keep going, and this house is going to sit on that market, and you're not going to get peace and quiet. You did want peace and quiet, really or not? Yeah, I want that. Okay, well, here's what we do. Okay, use those questions, use the information you gathered to attach to doing the right thing. That's what you do. It's just part of the conversation. So, if you take an overpriced listing, this is how I set this up. I will tell you, that's fine. We'll do it how you want. In 2 weeks, we're going to know if it's priced well or correct or not. The market's going to tell us. So in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I want an appointment. We're going to sit down and talk about what happened. Because we know that if you get lots of offers and showings, it's priced correctly. However, if you get a few showings and maybe one offer, it's usually, that should say 2 to 5%, not 20. I got to redo my stuff. It's generally overpriced by 2 to 5%. If you get a few showings but no offers, you're 6 to 11% over. And we know that if you just get some drive-bys, maybe some people look at the sign, but no offers, no viewings, no nothing, you're at least 12% overpriced. So we'll price at 600, and in 3 weeks I'm coming back in, we're going to reassess. Is that fair? Because remember, you want to sell this so that you get peace and quiet, right? Yeah, okay, and then you take it, in 2 weeks you're back in the door and you're hammering down to the right price. Take the listing. Okay, buyer's market, kind of the same thing. In a buyer's market, here's the thing. That means there's 10 houses for every one buyer. You dictate. But if you're a listing agent, I just tell people, never gonna sell. Just be willing to walk. There's so many houses out there you can list. And you're gonna have to put money, lockbox, all the stuff onto each house. Make sure you're priced correctly. Be willing to walk away because there are 10 more listings behind it. Whereas here, you've got 10 agents fighting for each listing. Over there, you've got 10 listings for every agent. Just take them, but give them price squares. Difference between a buyer's market and seller's market. Neutral market. Always emphasize how pricing correctly. If you're not, just show them. Show them the houses, show them the numbers. Remember, don't make them wrong, let them tell you. I do this all the time. When someone's overpriced, I pull up the CMA, I pull up the other houses, we find their house, I pull up the pictures, I start in the kitchen. So how does this kitchen look compared to yours? Oh, that's much nicer than mine. Oh, okay, well this one sold for $515. Oh, okay. Like 3 weeks ago. Oh, let's look at the master bedroom. Oh, wow, that's nice. Oh, honey, I want mine to look like that. Well, remember, this house sold for $550. How does that compare to yours? Oh, it's much nicer. Remember, if you tell me, it's got to be true. But if I tell you, you can argue me. If you tell me, it's got to be true. Let them tell you. This is part of handling objections. Remember, removing the blocks and just letting that ball roll down on its own. You don't got to push people much. Okay? So, next one, commission. Here's a question. It's different in each one, but really it's not. A person says, you real estate agents make way too much money. What do you say? Of course we do. If I was in your shoes, I'd say the same way. Let me ask you some questions. You start into what this is about. You're trying to figure it out. Person says to you, Monty, you're at the commissions part, you tell them it's 6%, and they say, will you lower your commission?
No. If I was to lower it right now,
Say it again?
no, I can't. If I was to lower it, when I go to negotiate for you, if I was to lower it right now, when we get to negotiations, you know I'm not the right person to get you the most money for this house.
Yeah, it's a short version of what I use. I've heard this a few times. It's not bad. Listen, what I say is no. And I pause. Because now there's a 600 or 800 pound elephant, gorilla in the room. No. And people will start off with, well, Redfin, stop. Would you like to know why? And this is my close. Because remember, this is at the end. I've already figured out their high buttons. We've already associated this. I'm trying to figure out what's really going on. So I say, you wanted me, Joyce, to get you the most amount of money in the least amount of time, right? That's what we just assumed that that's what you said, yes. And by doing that, you'll be able to go get A, B, C, and D. You'll get that peace and quiet at home because your two daughters are going to have their own rooms, they won't be fighting, and you'll have the bigger house you want, right? And so we want it the most amount of money, the least amount of time, so you can do it, right? Well, the easy part is listing your house. The tough part, where I want to make my money, is when I start negotiating. I'm trying to get multiple offers so we can push them up. That's where the fight comes in, and you want that agent, the broker, who can do that for you the best. And if I roll over right now and say yes to lowering your commission without working with it, you will know that I'm not that agent that can get you the most money in the least amount of time, right? And they say, yeah. I say, great. Any other questions before we get the paperwork? I'm done. I just told you why, and it's a real reason, and you just said that was okay. You're done. Just go right on. If they really freak out, they'll tell you, you just have to address a reason. That is my approach to price. No, because you told me, remember, you told me, I used to do this in health clubs. I'd figure out their rapport, the stuff they wanted, right, the criteria. We'd get up to go walk to the gym, and I'd stop about 3 steps. I said, wait a minute, do you know what health's #1 enemy is? Do you know what getting those 3 things you want, do you know what the #1 enemy is for that? Procrastination. Yeah, we've all procrastinated. Yeah, see, look at everybody smiles when you say procrastinate. Even Brett back there grinning from ear to ear. We do, right? So really, if I can find you A, B, C in this gym, give those to you, and we can make it fit your pocketbook, what you're really telling me is not to let you procrastinate, right? And people go, yeah. Then we go through the tour, we get down to the end, we show them the price and everything else, and say, how do you want me to proceed? And they say, well, I want to think about it. I can understand that. However, Monty, you made me promise not to let you procrastinate, didn't you? Oh, okay, he's over there going, yeah, I did. I can beat him bloody. Force him to sign that contract, take his money, and when we get to the front desk, he will love me for it. Because he gave me permission. He gave me permission in the beginning not to let him procrastinate. Joyce, if you say to me, I want X, Y, and Z, and I show you how to get it, and you said, don't let me procrastinate because I will, when we get to the end, my job is to help you not procrastinate, right? Yeah, even though it'll be hard and you'll be like, but you gotta talk about it. This is what you told me to do. You wanted my help. I know it's, and you did that, okay. They get through, and then they love you for it. Always preset. Always find out why it's important, what they want, set the stuff up. I get to the end. Commission comes down to that. They're worried that something, you can go into further. You may find that they're worried about not having enough money to buy the next house. Why is that? Well, I'm gonna have a big tax burden on this house. Oh, okay, I can understand that. I like my money, not Uncle Sam. Here's what I'm gonna do. I set up the whole financial plan on top of the tax attorneys. We show them how they're gonna keep more money. They don't care after that. You can get paid all you want. You gotta know what's going on. But I do use that one, that's my favorite one, no. Because listing a house is easy. Where I make my money is when we start negotiating the offers, because you wanted me to get you the most amount of money in the least amount of time, right? So that we can go A, B, and C, right? Awesome, well, if I roll over right now and say yes, you automatically know I'm not the person, right? That can negotiate. And everybody goes, yeah. Great, any other questions before we get the paperwork? No. Most of the time it's no. And they just agreed to 6%. Sometimes my family members will say, 6%, I'm family. Oh, that's right. Okay, 7 for having to do with family. My family knows not to, they're just like, dude, okay, no problem, just do. Oh, yeah, well, family's hard, right? Nah, I definitely having to deal with family increases the cost, right? Brad Pack, it'll happen. When a seller thinks that you're getting paid too much, one of the things we give them is a listing, this whole packet, which you can get from us, on, so what's it really do to you, okay? Wanted to think about it, last one and we're done. Yep. Wanted to think about it, same in each market. You know why? Because it's not a real objection. Wanting to think about it is not an objection, okay? All it is what they toss out there to try to get some distance so they don't feel pressured. I want to think about it. Right. The way we handle that, so to make sure that I've answered all your real questions, what exactly is it that you need to think about? Because remember, you don't know until you've asked. And then you ask that series, well, what's important about that to you? What, I'm not going to find the real answers. You can't solve problems you don't really answer. So anytime someone says, I want to think about it, it's not a real objection. It's a pass-through. They're trying to get some space-time. They don't feel comfortable yet. Help them feel comfortable. So let's review. Objections are notifications, but I want you to think of them this way. Most people are worried, objections are going to come up. Oh, please, get them out. I want to hear them. Oh, please. This is a notification by the customer that they still have questions, pain, or needs that have not been addressed and answered so that they can move forward. If you're there, they want to list their house. If you're talking to them, they want to buy a house. Solve the problems. Okay, always agree with them. Never assume. Always lead with their motivation question. What's important about X? By taking the time to get to know their criteria, emotional motivations, you are the only one that can deliver them. Guys, if I tell you that whatever, and you tell me back that you're the only person listening to me at that level, you're the only one who can give it to me. Can you really go someplace else? If Maria is the only person that, one, dug the stuff out, connected those, and actually knows what I want, and I've talked to all the rest of you, and all you did was give me a basic pitch, who am I going to go with? The person that's listening to me that can give me what I want. That's why. Okay, so when you handle the objection, you always ask. As soon as you handle it, don't hesitate. Don't ask if that sounds good. I'll say, for example, that makes sense? You automatically know I'm not the person to get you the, yeah, right? Yeah, okay, great. Any other, immediate. Any other questions before we get to paperwork? Okay, anybody here wrestle in high school? Okay, I'm gonna use it, guys, I have to use wrestling. When the person's on the bottom, and they get up and they break away, That's called an escape. You get 2 points for escapes. When you take the person down, as long as you're on top, you get 3 points. In wrestling, we're taught break, step back, set, and reshoot. I'm an economical child. I break and be shooting at the same time. People would just, and I would win constantly because I was skipping this extra step in the middle that took time. Just immediately go. As soon as you answer that question, just say any other questions before we get to the paperwork. Just like that, just let it roll. People will be, well, no, that's it, great, then start. Don't hesitate. Always lead. Because if they're waiting for someone to lead them to get their answers and problem solved, if you hesitate, you're not sure if you can do that, that's how their subconscious feels. Always lead. And the listing goes to the broker who wants it the most and can convey to the seller that they will not leave one rock unturned until they solve the seller's pain. If you can convince them that you're the person that's going to solve their pain, they're going to go with you. Yes?
Are we gonna get all these slides? Like
Yeah,
people?
you can,
Okay.
all of this is going to get emailed to you,
Okay.
literally by Sam as soon as I'm done. You don't have to keep it, you don't have to copy it. We videoed it. Kyle is going to edit it out. You'll actually be able to watch this whole seminar also. Because guys, I just taught it to you, but you got to do it, right? And then you're thinking, 3 weeks from now, you're like, what did he say? Gosh, what was it he said? How did he say that? Okay, Jose's over there going, God, right? And it becomes important. You guys are awesome. You'll do a great job. It just takes continual practice. And you gotta work at it. Want it. Find your emotional reasons inside for learning this stuff and then go do it. Practice, 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 practice. This is the funnest one I know because you will find so many relationships open up to you. Here's the other thing. You want a great way to contact your sphere of influence? Stop the real estate stuff. Guys, stop selling real estate. If Jose is a friend of mine, Jose, haven't chatted for a bit, we're busy in real estate. What's up, dude? Let's go get some coffee. I feel like I've not stayed in touch with my friends. Let's go get some coffee. So we're sitting on top of coffee. Am I talking about real estate? No. What's going on in his life? Why? Doing what now? Well, so what's important about that? Because the person starts to feel those connections, deep emotional connections to you. You get enough to go, and people will say, I've had people all the time, I only talk one thing about real estate. They'll say many things. Hey, I got a house I need to sell, can you help me? Wow, dude, sure, I just didn't know. Well, you know, they want to feel loved, connected, important. Not that they're just a house, right?
That's
Waiting
the
for
first
your
thing you
soul.
go for.
I know. It's about relationships. Build them, have a blast, have some fun, develop great relationships with people and get into the, Travis told you, get into the relationship side. They know you sell real estate. They do. They want to know you care about them. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Start caring. The sales will come. Okay, you guys have a great day.